all eyes were on Saturday night in Anaheim, UFC 298. And we've talked about the fact that Anaheim has hosted a lot of memorable UFC moments and events. Now you can add 298 to that equation as well, because it feels like when you were watching that on Saturday, when you were watching Ilia Topuria on Saturday do what he did to Alex Volkanovski. In case you don't know by now, he wins via stoppage in the second round after losing the first, but it was a close first round. It was not a one-sided first round. It was almost like a tale of 3 rounds in one, in that the first third felt like it was Volkanovski and the leg kicks. The second third felt like it was Topuria and the calf kicks. And then the third felt like it was Volkanovski in the boxing. And then Volk was looking pretty good in the second round. But then what does everyone say about Ilia Topuria? They say, don't let him back you up against the fence. Don't let him throw a barrage of punches, his power, his speed. Don't let him trap you there. And that's what he did. Volk up against the fence. He throws a nasty combination. He lands the right hook, and it's all she wrote for Alex Volkanovski. And I obviously have some thoughts on Volk and where he goes from here. But let us give Ilia Topuria his flowers, or perhaps I should say his roses, because that was a star-making performance. And there are sometimes when you watch these wins, when you watch these title-changing moments, these victories for a new champion, sometimes it just feels like a moment, and then sometimes it feels like something. It feels like something when Conor McGregor knocks out Jose Aldo. It feels like something when Israel Adesanya knocks out Robert Whittaker. It feels like something when Sean O'Malley knocks out Aljamain Sterling. And on Saturday, to me, it felt like something when Topuria knocked out Volkanovski. Because of who Volkanovski is, because of how good he was since 2019, since becoming champion in December of 2019, but in large part because of who Ilia Topuria is and how he conducts himself. I'll be honest, changing the bio, it's not my style. I'm not that cocky. I'm not that confident. 15-0, UFC featherweight champion, putting the belt around his waist all week, speaking like he was already the champion, that he was just going to roll through Volk. I'm a very superstitious person, so I can't even wrap my head around that type of confidence, right? This guy walked the walk, talked the talk, and got it done. And what did we say before the fight? If he pulls this off, being as cocky as he is, as brash as he is, as confident as he is, and I don't say cocky in a negative way, he's putting it out there no different than Conor back in the day, putting it out there. If he actually gets it done and doesn't just like squeak by, like gets it done, exclamation point, essentially what he did on Saturday, you've got a superstar on your hands. And he did all of that and more. You know, some people said that he looked rattled at the press conference on Thursday. I thought Volk was incredible. And it was amazing to watch because he was the perfect antidote to the crap that we had been seeing at these press conferences over the last few months. And then you see that clip of the two of them sharing some respect, some pleasantries. It was mainly Topuria saying, hey, I respect you, but I'm just following my dreams. And I really appreciated that. And some people thought that was indication that Topuria had crumbled, that he had cracked, that he was now almost, you know, begging for forgiveness. I viewed it as like, man, that is cold. That's like the kiss of death, that he's going to talk all of this. He's going to say, hey, man, you're just in my way. I'm just following my dreams. I'm sorry, but I have to do what I need to do on Saturday. And he ended up nailing it. And afterwards, you see like 40 people in there, kind of a boxing scene, if you will. Usually there aren't that many people in there, but Topuria does what Topuria does, what he wants. And then you see the scenes in Georgia. You see the scenes, his family celebrating. But even more impressive, shout out to Setanta Sports, who had a viewing party, multiple screens. We have some footage of this outside one of their concert halls, people showing up at 6 a.m., 7 a.m. to watch not only Ilia, but Merab. Obviously, Ilia was the main event fighting for the belt. But like these are people before Merab's fight outside at around 5 or so a.m. in Georgia singing the national anthem as they're getting ready to watch one of their own, Merab Dvalishvili, fight Henry Cejudo. They're standing, outside. And apparently it was in multiple spots. And then here's further scenes in Georgia, in the heart of, how do you pronounce it, GC?
Tbilisi.
I mean, you're honorary Georgian after your great fight feast on Saturday, so you know better than I. And look at these scenes in a moment of people celebrating their own. Such a huge deal for them. It feels like a massive, massive moment for obviously these people, this country, Spain, of course, but European MMA as the sport continues to evolve and grow. It's an amazing thing to witness. It feels like the start of a new era. And afterwards, you see Dana White at the post-fight press conference asked about Spain. Sometimes he hems and haws. Sometimes he says, hey, you know, we don't want to do pay-per-views over there because it would have to be at a different time. He's like, we're going to go to Spain. Do they go for the first title defense? Who knows? But it seems inevitable. And remember, I told you last week, his contract was up at the end. Look at these scenes. Look at this emotion. It's amazing. Ilia Topuria's contract was up at the end of last year. Hunter Campbell flew to Spain to meet with him in person from Vegas to get the deal done. And no doubt, talks of a title shot were on the table, but also going to Spain and doing something big over there. They've just renovated the Bernabeu where Real Madrid plays. Real Madrid with 100-something Instagram followers that collabed with him. People like Carlos Alcaraz and Rafael Nadal, the best of the best, Iker Casillas, top 8+ list superstars in Spain shouting out Ilia Topuria. I think he gained almost 1 million Instagram followers since the beginning of last week. This is a star-making moment. This is gigantic for the sport, gigantic for him, gigantic for everyone involved in European MMA. There's never been anyone from Georgia or Spain to win a UFC title, of course. Just amazing. And they should go to Spain. They should go for the next one. They need to start doing more of this. This is what they had this when Yuri won. Remember those scenes when Yuri went back to the Czech Republic? For whatever reason, didn't capitalize it. I love these moments when someone from a country that has never had success like this before in fighting, when one of their own prevails, and then you have these moments, you need to go there so that they look like superstars. And so I was so happy to hear that that's on the books, that's on their mind. They want to go. Amazing. I was looking at his social media. He had he told us a couple of weeks ago he's expecting his second child. That night, they did a gender reveal. They had a whole thing, a whole party. He, his family, his partner, all that. It's like, wow, the level of you don't want to do something like that after you get knocked out, but it's like he knew the whole time. That's just next level. And I'll admit, I was wondering, is it a little too much? Is he looking past folk? Is he a little too confident here? I mean, this is Alex Volkanovski, one of the smartest fighters, one of the best fighters, one of the most dominant fighters of all time. I don't know, greatest of all time, featherweight, this, that. Who cares? What does it matter? One of the best fighters of all time. And he just went in there and knocked him out in the second round. Blown away by that. Blown away by everything about this guy. Blown away by everything about him. How he's handling himself, what he said leading in, what he said walking out. They've got a star on their hands. And so the big question is his first title defense going to be in Spain? And if it is going to be in Spain, when will it be? And when we find out when it will be, who will it be against? Lots of questions there. Obviously, none that need to be answered today or tomorrow. I am of the mind that the next time Alex Volkanovski fights, it should be for the belt at 145. The next time Volkanovski fights, it should be for the belt. He has certainly done enough to warrant that, and has certainly been, as he put it, a company man, which would lead one to think like, hey, you know, obviously when he steps up and fights Islam on short notice, he's getting paid, obviously. But, you know, so it benefits him, but it also benefits the company. They were able to save the main event. Islam is able to remain on the card, an important card for them in Abu Dhabi. And the guy was just so active. Remember, he fought in April 2 years ago, comes back, fights in July, fights Max Holloway 3 times after going, 2-0 against him, having to fight him a third time. I think the next time Alex Volkanovski fights, it needs to be for the belt. I'm just not sure if the next time Ilia fights, it will be against Alex Volkanovski. So what I mean by that is I could see a world where Ilia returns, defends his title at some point, maybe. I mean, you look at the schedule now, I can't see it happening before the summer, fall. he fights someone and then Volk fights the winner of that. I would like that for two reasons. Number one, Volk deserves it. And number two, I like the idea of him getting some rest. I like the idea of him getting some rest because, let's be honest, that's now 2 knockouts in a row for a guy who hardly ever got touched. That's back-to-back knockouts in the span of 4 months. And so I don't know ultimately if Ilia Topuria knocked out Alex Volkanovski because he got knocked out in October. We'll never truly know the answer to that question. But I think now we know the answer to the question that we asked ourselves before the October fight in Abu Dhabi. I think now you could talk about, all right, was it a mistake? Would this affect his career? Now that is going to, if he would have gone in there on Saturday and starched Topuria, all that gets put aside. He can move on and we could close the book on Abu Dhabi. Because of what happened on Saturday, again, we will never truly know, but that question now remains forever. Was it a mistake? He got paid, he got a new deal, all that stuff, great. But was it a mistake? Did it change the trajectory of his career? Taking that fight, getting knocked out, and then knocked out now in the next fight. That question is always going to be one that will be asked, pondered, hanging over him. And that's unfortunate. Doesn't seem like he's in horrendous spirits. He was in a much better place on Saturday at the post-fight press conference than he was the post-fight press conference in October. I liked what he said. He was classy as always. He said basically, you know, last time I knew it wasn't the best of me. This time it's the best of me, and sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail. I'm usually the hammer. This time I'm the nail. Obviously said he wanted the rematch. Obviously said he would go to Spain. Dana non-committal. I think he deserves it. I just don't know if it should be next for his benefit. Take some time. Take a year. Take 10, 11 months. Body needs it. Head needs it. Brain needs it. Topuria, though, you want to capitalize on. And so, wouldn't you know it, this Saturday, you have Yair Rodriguez and Brian Ortega in Mexico. This couldn't work out any better for the UFC. If Yair wins, to me, that's the fight. With what he said last week, Mexico versus Spain in Spain, the heat there, that would be blockbuster. And you can make a strong case that if Brian wins, that's the fight. Obviously, you have Movsar out there. It doesn't seem like they are too high on getting him a title shot because of all the decisions, because of the close fights. It feels like it's a 2-horse race with those guys. Now, it would be a 3-horse race if not for Max Holloway getting booked against Justin Gaethje. If Max Holloway didn't get a fight against Justin Gaethje on April 13th for the BMF title, that stupid belt that means nothing, it would be Max versus Ilia. Massive fight, Bernabeu, put it in there, 80,000 people, the former king going against the new king. That's the one. But no, this is what I said when they booked Gaethje versus Holloway. What did I say? Why? Just wait to see how this one plays out. This is the problem with 300. We'll get to 300 in a moment. It's these thrown together fights that have no significance or stakes. Fabricated. It should be Holloway versus Topuria. It's not Holloway versus Topuria. Holloway's now fighting Gaethje. And maybe it works out great, and maybe this is the beginning of a run at 155. But we've been hearing for years that it was about the 45 belt. And now we're foregoing that for the BMF title, as prestigious as the WWE hardcore belt or the WWF hardcore belt. Come on, what is going on here? But anyway, not our problem. And that's a benefit to Yair. Yair wins on Saturday in front of the partisan Mexican crowd. They will shower him with love. They will go crazy for him. Gets on the microphone. Ilia, you're next. I'll see you in Spain. Done deal. That's the fight. Winner gets Volk, in my opinion. There's a ton of options for Ilia, of course, because he hasn't had to fight a lot of these guys. The biggest loser, you can make the case on Saturday, was Josh Emmett, believe it or not, because Josh Emmett was the one guy in the top 5 or 6 that had lost to Ilia, and the one guy that Volk hadn't fought yet. Volk wins that fight. I think it might be Josh Emmett versus Volk. Now, Josh is excluded, and all those guys who had lost to Volk, sometimes multiple times, are now right back in the mix. But it's rare to see Dana that excited say, yep, we're going there. They know what they have. You see what they have. The guy's a star. The way he conducts himself, the way he looks, the way he fights, the way he speaks, his backing. It's all very exciting. And so that's what I would do. Wait to see, obviously, what happens on Saturday. If it's Yair, give him the shot. Even if it's Ortega, give him the shot. Do something in Spain. Go for it. Roll the dice. Big moment. Big fight. Even if it's not the Bernabeu. 20,000 seat. UFC is rolling. They just had, think about all the events that they have in California. Think about all the big moments, the big cards, the big names. Tito and Chuck and Brock, Kane, DC, Stipe, Nate Diaz, all those big fights. And that was the highest grossing event in California history. That was the highest grossing event in Anaheim Pond history. That's insane. The UFC is on fire. They could do no wrong. Stars are being born, new faces are being born. And so you have that moment, which is huge. And I'll get the guys' thoughts on that in a moment. But also have to mention Merab Dvalishvili, which I thought was the second biggest moment on that card. He does what he needed to do. He beats Henry Cejudo. I thought maybe he had to get the finish just to like stamp it. In the end, doesn't need the finish. In the end, it appears as though beating Henry Cejudo was enough, which is what it should be. But I also think maybe ridding the UFC of Henry Cejudo was enough as well. Because let's be honest, the UFC and Dana White in particular has not forgotten what Henry did in May of 2020. What did he do? What was his crime? He retired in the cage. Now, the biggest issue was it never felt like it was a sincere retirement. It felt like he was, you know, negotiating. And it wasn't the time to negotiate. It was a massive blunder. Now, I understand he wanted to start a family. He wanted to do this. He wanted to do that. You can't retire in the cage. We've talked about this a million times. You can't retire in the cage. And then at the post-fight press conference 45 minutes later say, well, I would come back for better money, for more money. You can't do that. Now it seems disingenuous. And you certainly can't do it the first show back during the pandemic. Not when everyone is wondering what their future is going to be. Not when you're putting on events in empty arenas. There wasn't the time, man. It just wasn't. And so he sits out. He does get a title shot upon returning, and that was his big chance to get back on track. And then he gets this fight. And then you can clearly see he wanted the mic, taking off the gloves, all that stuff. He doesn't get the mic. And I was like, wow, that was kind of cold. It's pay-per-view. Could have given him a question. But then you hear Dana's comments in the post-fight press conference, and it's like, oh, yeah, that wasn't your moment. You already had your time to retire. You're not going to do it again. The one thing he hates more than anything is guys retiring as champions and sort of messing things up. Didn't like it when GSP did it in 2013. Didn't like it when Henry did it. It's just not something that he enjoys, that he likes, that he appreciates. And I personally think that Henry deserves a little better than that. I know he can rub people the wrong way. I know that he's messed up. 2020 was a mess up. But I mean, two-time champion, two-division champion, Olympic gold medalist. Just goes to show, yesterday, you could be headlining the first ESPN card. You could be a two-weight world champion. You could be an Olympic medalist. You could be the face of the flyweight, saving the fly, this and that. You could be all those things. And then at the end of the road, it could be a little, get out. You don't even get the mic. And so he hasn't said anything as of yet. I did, in fact, hear that he was a little banged up going into the fight. Did seem a little bit older. Everyone looks old against Merab. He gets picked up, and you know that must have killed him as a wrestler, getting picked up, carried to the other side. Scenes, shades of Matt Hughes and Frank Trigg back in the day. That's got to kill him. I know he's been dealing with some personal tragedy as well, and my heart goes out to him on that front, losing his sister, who I know was very close to him. There's a lot going on in his life. And so maybe the best thing for him is to take a break. I felt like if he wasn't going to win this fight, he was going to retire. I asked Captain Eric about that. He said no, but then at the press conference later on that day, Henry said, this is it for me if I lose. So we await word from him, but it seems to me like all signs point to him taking a break, if you want to call it that in combat. And I do think he deserves some mic time, but I was not surprised. I will tell you that much. I was not surprised. They don't forget. They do not forget. Happy to hear that Merab has been crowned the #1 contender. That's what Dana said at the post-fight press conference. So happy to hear that. No one deserves it more. That's now 10 in a row. His last 3 wins were against former UFC champions. Prior to that, it's a win over Marlon Moraes, the WSOF champion. 10 straight wins needs to get you a title shot. And he's growing, and his social media is fun, and his personality is growing, and he was great all week with the Mexican flag and the moment with Zuckerberg. He's got to be next. Sign me up. Merab versus Sean, sign me up. People said Sean was going to get whooped by Aljo. Didn't happen. Sign me up. Cheeto versus Merab, sign me up as well. They're not going to, if Cheeto beats Sean, they're not going to run it back right away. I would imagine they won't. It's got to be Merab. So that was a big moment. Ian Garry with the big win over Geoff Neal. I know some people didn't love the performance. Geoff Neal is super tough. Not someone you kind of go in there and just kind of throw caution to the wind. Now 7-0, I believe 14-0 overall. Surprised that some people had it scored for Geoff. Not the judges. I saw some people online saying that it was a robbery. I didn't see it that way. I thought it was 29-28. Ian did what he had to do, and it seemed like he has made a conscious decision to lean in now to the booze, to the I don't know, what do you want to say, the animosity, whatever it is, the connection or lack thereof that he has with the public. They certainly care about him, but they want to boo him at this point. They want to jump on all this heat, this hatred, whatever, and it seems like he's leaning in. So let's see. I don't know if deep down he likes this, wants this, is comfortable with this, but it seems like he has made a conscious decision to lean in. You see it from the mic work. You see it from the press conference. And he wants Colby Covington next. And maybe that's the perfect, medicine to get the fans back on your side. I don't know. I have a hard time believing Colby's accepting that fight, if I'm being 1,000% honest. I just don't see it happening. I would love for him to fight in Dublin next. I think this is the perfect time. I think it would be great if I were advising Ian, and I'm happy to say this to him when he comes on, I say you go to Dublin now, you do a media tour, you reconnect with that audience. You reconnect with those people, with that country, because just look at what Ilia has with Spain and Georgia. Look at what Merab has with Georgia. Look at what Conor had with Ireland. What Tom has and Leon has with England. Like, if you have that connection, especially with those passionate fans that don't have a ton of people to root for in the UFC, you need to establish that. You don't have to live there. You don't have to train there, but let them feel like you're one of their own. Let them back you. I know he clarified his comments about Dublin and about going back there, and I understood what he was saying when he said it on Wednesday about, like, hey, maybe I'm getting too big. I think what he was just trying to say is, like, the time is now. If I become champion, you're not going to do an Ian Garry title fight in Ireland because the 3 arena is too small and Croke Park is just not willing to put on combat events. So let's do it now. And I think some people were like, wait a second, you're too big for Ireland? No. I know that's not what he meant. But I do think like an Ian Garry, Sean Brady main event in Dublin at the 3 arena would be perfect. Get the people behind him. Get the people going crazy. Not here to take part, here to take over. And then we talk about the big fights. I just don't see Colby taking that fight. I really don't. I may be wrong. No inside knowledge on that one. Just doesn't seem like the type of fight that he is looking for. He's looking for like a Wonder Boy type of opponent. So good to see Ian back on track. Hard-fought win. He does what he needs to do. And then, of course, speaking of hard-fought wins, Robert Whittaker and Paulo Costa was a great fight. Costa looked great, had the layoff, looked obviously in tremendous shape, but I thought he fought really well. It's just Robert Whittaker that he's fighting. The type of performance that Robert needed coming off the DDP loss, which has aged nicely, obviously, with DDP now champion. And it feels like he's back. And the fight that I want to see is Rob versus Sean Strickland. That's the fight that I think makes total sense. Both have losses to DDP, both around the same spot in the rankings. That's the one for me. I don't think they're going to do Rob versus DDP next. That is the one for me. So those were the 4 big moments. Anthony Hernandez, fluffy with the big win over Roman Kopylov at the start of the main card. That was really impressive as well. And there were some other big performances throughout the main card. But then the other big story was on Saturday, literally seconds after the event ended, Dana White went on social media and announced the 300 main event. Why they didn't save this for the broadcast and then do it on social media too, I have no idea. I don't understand why these things happen. But he went on Instagram and announced that the main event for UFC 300 is, well, I can't do the big reveal now because you all know what it is. But you by now know, of course, that it's Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill for the light heavyweight title, which again is a fine main event and would be amazing for any card 301, 302, 309, 310, 315. It's fine. In fact, I can tell you with 1,000% certainty that it was slated to be the main event for 301. They announced on Saturday, May 4th, they're going back to Rio for a pay-per-view. The main event was supposed to be Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill, which I have to say, I know Jamal Hill doesn't like me. I'm still confused as to what went wrong there. But I need to give him massive props. This guy tore his Achilles last summer. July. Most athletes are out for a year. And it's not really a super common injury when you're a fighter. This guy is coming back April. That's 9 months. 9 months later. With a full training camp and all that. It's not like he's just like stepping into the gym or stepping into the cage 9 months later. He's got to be training now. So that's very impressive. Massive props. I tip my cap. But he said it on Saturday night on the post show. This all came together yesterday, he said. According to Pereira's team, came together like 2 days before the announcement. This wasn't the top choice. I don't even know if it was the fifth choice. As I said last Monday, they wanted Leon versus Khamzat. And as Dana White said, and wasn't it nice to hear Dana White finally give Leon props? Because it wasn't that long ago they were removing Leon from the rankings when they were trying to jerk him around to fight Khamzat and do all this other stuff. Nice to see him finally get the respect and love that he has deserved since day one. They said they offered him 3 fights. Khamzat, top choice. Some talk of Shavkat, some talk of even Islam. He said yes to all of them. Never specifically said the names, but trust me on this one. Amazingly, Bilal not one of them. Now, I believe this is what I believe. If they didn't need a main event, they would have had Bilal and Leon as like the second or third title fight. If it was, 301, 302, 303, then Leon Bilal. And I expect the next title fight for Leon to still probably be Bilal. But man, what an indictment on how they feel about the guy. Not one phone call, and there he is in the front row on Saturday going 300, give me a call, when at that point it's already done. I don't know how you process that. That's tough. As I've said from the beginning, he deserves it more than Shavkat. He deserves it more than Khamzat. I get the Islam thing, even though no strong desire for it, but fine. Islam did it twice against Volk. He could deserve that honor too, I suppose. Should be Bilal next. Didn't call him? What the hell? That's tough. But as I said, the top choice was Khamzat. Can't get in the country. I don't know how they fix this. I don't know how you give Khamzat a title shot because he could very likely win that knowing he can't get in the country. How can you have a champion who can't fight in the United States, can't fight in Vegas, can't fight in California, can't fight in New York? You got to fix that first. That's going to hold him back. We don't even know why. Why can't he come into the country? But it's a problem. Because if it wasn't a problem, if it wasn't a thing, I think that would be on 300. Leon said yes. He was ready to go. Credit to him. Remember, he was in Aston Villa December 31st telling everyone 300. And at the time, I think he thought, all right, maybe Leon Bilal, co-main, third title fight. But when it became clear that they needed a main, then they had to go for the gusto. And they tried to do something big. And if anyone tells you, look, it's a great card. I have to keep saying this because people get all crazy. But a 300, a 200, a 100 isn't something that needs to be cobbled together or... I understand where the fans who are upset are coming from. It feels kind of thrown together. It feels like... It doesn't feel like the culmination, like the apex, pardon the pun, of something big. 100 was the apex of something big. Brock Lesnar versus Frank Mir, the rematch for the heavyweight title, was gigantic. GSP was on there too, but it was huge. Bisping, Hendo, tough coaches, gigantic. 200, now the revisionist historians will say, oh, 200 wasn't it was a man. No. 200 was Jones versus DC. There was no bigger rivalry, and arguably still isn't a bigger rivalry than those two. Jones obviously got removed a couple days before, but that was the plan. You bring in Brock. You got Amanda Nunes against Misha Tate. Misha coming off that. Like, that felt big. This is a great card. It's an amazing card. But when you have a 298 and a 299 and maybe not that many A-plus superstars at this juncture, they're doing great. They don't need me to tell them otherwise. Look what they're doing in California. Look what they're doing every single stop. Because the brand has never been hotter. But it just feels like it's missing that je ne sais quoi at the very, very top. A friend of mine, Ant Evans, put it like this on Twitter, and I thought he said it perfectly. Like, the way they are booking now is like the game Tetris. Okay, which pieces can go where? And sometimes it works out perfectly. Pereira fighting in Rio is perfect. That's where he should be fighting. 3 weeks later, he should be fighting in Rio. That would be a massive deal, a massive homecoming. You put him on there. Maybe you put Pantoja on there too. Now you've taken him off there and you got to put him on this 300 thing. And now you're left with, all right, what do we got for Rio 3 weeks later? Not ideal. Now you can get away with it when the brand is super hot. You can't get away with it when you don't have this type of momentum and business and popularity and all this stuff. But don't tell me that this was the top choice. It's all great. It's going to do gangbusters. It's going to do amazing. But you need to know the truth. You need to know that this wasn't A, B, C, or even D. Amazing for Pereira. This guy 3 years ago is out of MMA, kickboxer, 2-division champion in glory, comes over, looks like he almost kills a guy in LFA, gets signed to the UFC, and has just been on a rocket ship, stumbles once against Izzy in his first defense, comes back, says, yeah, no problem, I'm moving up to 205, beats a former champion, and then wins the belt back at MSG, and now he's headlining 300? Superstar. Amazing. Good for him. Good for all involved. But the culminate, like, again, Izzy DDP was another one on the table. Those 3 Leon fights, Izzy DDP was on the table. My understanding was the timing just didn't work out for DDP. And I think that should still be the next title fight, but it didn't work out. I think Izzy was in, but the timing just didn't work out. A bit of a quick turnaround coming off of January. Not as quick as July to September, but the timing didn't quite work out. Original thought should have always been around this time last year, you announced Chandler versus McGregor. And you say they're going to be on The Ultimate Fighter, and then you say they're going to headline in April of next year at UFC 300. And again, it does feel a little weird that it's on, April and not July, like 100, 200, but that's just the way the cookie crumbled here. That would have been the longest and best build to a fight ever. And now here you have both guys saying, why aren't we on this card again? Still don't understand what they're talking about with Conor. Yes, he's made a lot of money. So did, Floyd Mayweather was making over $100 million for his fights. He still kept fighting. LeBron James has made millions upon millions. He's still playing 20 straight All-Star games, all that stuff. Just because he has a lot of money doesn't mean he doesn't want to compete. But they're not putting him on it. And so this is what we're getting. And so let's talk about it all with the boys. Where should we start, guys? Where should we start? 300? Should we start with Ilia? Let's give Ilia his roses here. I had some thoughts there. What did you guys think? Mr. New York Rick, what did you think of Ilia's win, his star-making performance against Volkanovski? People don't like when I say Volk. They say I need to say the L a little bit more. But I say it's like Volk like folk. Like you don't say folks, you say folks, right? Like you say like, hey, folks, how are you? Oh, can I meet your folks?
Egg
folks.
yolk, egg yolk.
Yeah. I think I'm right here, by the way. The name changes when you shorten it.
Volk.
What do you guys say, Volk or Volk?
Volk.
Volk.
But it's folk. Yoke.
Yeah, but
it's coming from Volkanovski.
Yeah.
I'm also, of course, drawing a blank here, but there's some words like that are spelled the same, but sound different.
Anyway, your thoughts, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You go first. Star-making performance, the one that he needed to have, right? Like, the way he had built this up, the way he had set this up was he was either going to fall on his face and the Instagram bio and the next thing and going to retire this old man, that stuff was going to really age like milk, or it was going to put him in a conversation with Conor McGregor, which he has done successfully. Not only is he calling out Conor McGregor, but all the kind of the things that the markers, the mile markers that he's continuing to pass are the ones that remind people of Conor McGregor. And so that's the best possible place you can be in. Couple that with the idea of how many international stars and athletes are now, supporting Ilia Topuria. you can't do better than this. You cannot do better. He gambled big, and he rolled the perfect. He got exactly what he needed out of this, and now he's set up for superstardom in a way that I think we haven't seen in a long time. We haven't seen somebody like this. Like, I don't think Sean O'Malley has the ceiling that Ilia Topuria has as a product and as a star. Like, I think Sean O'Malley has delivered on his performances, but I do think there's something special. I do think there's something different about Ilia Topuria, and I'm excited to see what happens next. So A++++. Couldn't be more high on Ilia Topuria after this, especially against the level of competition he's doing it against. Right, to go out there and look that good against Alex Volkanovski, who, what you said earlier, came into the fight and said, last time I wasn't at my best, this time I was at my best, and that's what Ilia Topuria did to him. I'm blown away, absolutely blown away by Ilia Topuria.
And I'm happy for you, GC, by the way, because you went all in with Georgia for the Amazing Fight Feast video, and I didn't want people to be like, no, like you know what I mean? So this feels like now you've given
Actually,
them...
it feels like a feast's blessing.
Yes. Now I feel like, okay, Canada, bless them. Well, they didn't do great on the Canada card. But this was big. This was big. You went all in.
Yeah, I guess now that because Canada did so poorly on that card, everything was in the balance. You know, if I do the George and then Merab and Ilia end up losing, I was going to have to bear a lot of the blame on that one. And yeah, I mean, it worked out. I did wear a Topuria shirt. You know, I balanced it out by wearing a Volk shirt as well. So, I mean, everything was fitting there. My thoughts on it are exactly what Rick said. I'm just absolutely blown away. I mean, every single thing that he said came to fruition. He said he was going to knock out Volkanovski. I mean, people were asking him. You asked him, why is he not going to fight Max? Why would he fight Max? He's going to dust the dude that Volk beat 3 times. And he goes out there and he completely starches him. I mean, puts him cold out. Volk is asking what happened. He doesn't have any clue what went on. And now we have our new featherweight champion, and then afterward, he's got the video ready to go. All they had to do was, I mean, dude, like whoever his editor is, his designer or whatever, like he had the Premiere file or whatever software he's using, and he just had to plop in the Volkanovski highlights on the back end. Go ahead and share that. He's doing collabs with Real Madrid. I mean, everything was just ready to go. It's you talked about the gender reveal. It's almost just like everything was a part of the plan. It's just like, yep, we'll do the whole documentary, and then we'll fly out to Anaheim. We'll do the press conference, and then, you know, I'm going to knock out Volkanovski. I'll become featherweight champion. We'll do the gender reveal. We'll release the video about me becoming champion, and then we'll head to Spain. And sounds like we got a big 2024 on our hands. There was no question of, like, if I knock out Volkanovski, if I beat him. It just felt like everything was a part of the plan, and now it's going to be fascinating to watch. It really does feel like A Star is Born. You said he's gained like 800,000 followers on Instagram since the start of last week. That video that dropped, I mean, we saw Sergio Ramos come to the fight against Josh Emmett in Jacksonville. Like, to get a star that big to Jacksonville to watch one of your fights is incredible. Can you imagine the star power that is going to be in play if this guy goes to Spain? I mean, it's like Cedric Doumbé when he was in France with PSG and everyone in attendance for that, Kylian Mbappe, all those guys out there. I mean, that video that he dropped of all those Spaniards wishing him good luck. I mean, you had Rafael Nadal, Carlos Alcaraz, Carlos Sainz. Like, my head was spinning that it just kept going and going of these just mega stars from Spain wishing him luck. I mean, rocket ship, dude. He has got a rocket ship strapped to his back, undefeated. Everything about him is just star-worthy. Speaks Spanish, speaks English, great-looking family, super talented, undefeated. It's fascinating to watch, man. I can't believe that he did exactly what he said he was going to do.
I know it's like sacrilegious to talk about Conor because nobody can be Conor, but like he's doing the things. He's following the checklist, and he's doing it well. And I think the most important part, and why I kind of compare him to O'Malley, is like O'Malley had. We've talked about this before, right? The U.S. does not support its stars in the way that some of these other countries do. He has Spain behind him, and he also has Georgia behind him, but the man is destined for something, it seems like, at this point. The same way when we looked back at Conor, it felt like he was destined for something. And he's hitting all the marks. He's checking every single thing off on this path in a way that I don't remember anybody doing it since Conor. And it's hard because we know what Conor ultimately became, right? Like, it's a lot easier to look back at that in hindsight. But he's doing it. he's really doing what has been done before by the biggest star in MMA history.
If I could offer one critique, conspicuous by their absence in that video were the Gasol brothers. I mean, how do you not get the Gasol?
in the famous people?
Yeah, I'm kidding. It's a joke. It's a joke.
I don't think they had enough room. I think reels cut off the length.
I'm kidding.
Because there were just so many.
I was just like, can I get a Powell in there? I mean, can I get a Mark?
Like, would be nice.
You got Casillas.
I mean, where was Ricky Rubio? I mean, like, where was
Ricky's?
They had Alberto Contador, like
I was
famous
blown away.
Spanish cyclist.
I don't think I've seen Rafael Nadal in like years. I was like, oh shit, there's Rafa. Okay, so I think we would all agree, go to Spain, whether it's an arena where Real Madrid play, whether it's the Bernabeu. The question is, though, against who?
That is the question. Before we answer that, I do have to say Caposa had a great quote tweet of like Dana being like, we're going to go to Spain. And then Caposa said, can't wait for Ilia Topuria, Yair Rodriguez at the KFC Yum Center.
I don't think they'll blow this one.
I don't think they're going to either, but I
just see the look on Dana's face. I mean, it's right there. It's right there in front of you. The question is, though, timing, as we've said with 300, right? It's all about timing in this game. It's not necessarily, you know, who is the rightful guy, but don't give me, it doesn't matter. What's the fight? No, but what's the fight? For the sake of this conversation, what is the fight?
Yair Rodriguez.
If Yair wins, do you guys agree? Okay, so if Yair wins, that is the biggest one available, right? Do you agree on that?
I think so.
I think Max Holloway would be bigger, but obviously there's circumstances surrounding that.
Well, here's the thing. If he's look, if you look at the schedule, so they have June 29th is international fight. I'm assuming he's not fighting before June. We know that May is Rio. So then June 29th would be International Fight Week. I don't think there are 2 pay-per-views in June. Then the next one is July 20th, I believe, and I think that's in Salt Lake City. And then, so the first available, again, they could change any of this, but just based on what I know, would be August. And so even if Max fights on April 13th, I guess he could conceivably come back in August and fight at 145. So I don't want to necessarily...
But he could also win and be in line for a lightweight shot.
I'm just saying, let's just say Ilia is fighting August, September, not October. Let's say August, September range. Let's just say for the sake of this conversation. What's the biggest fight they put on there?
The best and biggest fight is Max. The best and biggest fight is Max.
Okay.
Yair would be the easiest fight to make.
If he wins.
If he wins.
He does have to win. I would love the Mexico versus
What
Spanish.
if Yair loses and Max wins? So Max isn't available.
Max, no question.
No. Max isn't available. Let's say Max says, you know what, I'm staying at 55. This is great.
Okay.
And Yair loses. Is it Ortega?
See, this is why it does not matter.
I just want to have the conversation, man. I just want to have the conversation.
Ortega.
Is it Ortega?
Man.
Who else? I mean,
like you just hold out for the Volk rematch.
And then you go Volk. That's the thing. There's so many different angles here.
Yeah. I mean, if Yair wins, I do like that. They got that heat. Yair does not like him. I mean, he said on a show.
I kind of feel like Yair versus Ilia is bigger than Ilia versus Max at this point.
No.
Am I crazy?
Max is beloved.
Max is a superstar. And, like, if Max goes and beats Justin Gaethje and then is willing to return to 145, he'll be, like, 19-1 in his last 20 fights against dudes not named Alexander Volkanovski and won't have lost anyone not named Alexander Volkanovski in like 5 years.
There's a kernel of truth in what you're saying in the sense that, first, the only reason I'm saying it doesn't matter is because it's the Ilia show. He is the A side. These guys are always going to be, and Max Holloway is a legit star in the UFC. He's going to be the B side to Ilia Topuria in this fight, in this potential fight.
For sure.
The thing you'd lose with Max is the heat, right? The build of Yair Rodriguez versus Ilia Topuria would be special with how intense it's going to be. With the fact that they will bring it when they have opportunities to talk about each other. You know that Max Holloway is going to be respectful. It's just who he is. He's gonna do his best with some of the, like, you know, I'm the featherweight GOAT, maybe not the featherweight GOAT, but saying like he's the old guard. He's gonna establish order, knock out this young guy, and Ilia is gonna basically be able to run back the same things he said against Volk. You're not gonna get the heat. Maybe that's worth it. Maybe it's worth having that with Yair if he can win. And building toward that and just putting Max on a different path anyway. And then maybe Max can get next. You know,
I just love the heat between Yair and Ilia.
The heat is important.
It's amazing.
But I do think Max.
But if you're just putting in a vacuum, Max is a bigger star.
Does Max need to beat Justin? Like, can he lose in
No, I think I mean, no different than Volk losing. And I know he was the champion, but I don't think he necessarily needs to beat Justin. I do want to ask the other question, and I don't know if it's fair to Volk or Ilia, but can we definitively say Abu Dhabi was a mistake for Volk?
I don't think.
Or do you agree with my assessment that it will forever be a part of the conversation?
Oh yeah.
What if he did? What if he went from Yair in July to this fight? Would the outcome have been different?
There's no telling. It could have been. It could have been. There truly is no telling. I mean, talk about the butterfly effect of Charles Oliveira being forced to pull out of that fight.
Yeah.
It changed everything.
I can't say it's a mistake just because of what it did for him financially.
Yeah.
But it will for you. That is the right way to look at it. It will forever be a what if. It will forever be what if he just did not take this detour, because he did not. It was not ideal. There's no way. There's no other way to slice it. He has admitted it. It was just not perfect. It was not the right circumstances for him. But financially, it's hard to. He's on the end. He's on the back nine. He's closer to the end than he is even the middle. You got to take the opportunity when it's there.
It's just truly, and I know you guys have been around this game much longer than me, it's just truly mind-boggling to me how quickly this game moves. I mean, 7 months ago, I was talking to our friend TST, Troy. 7 months ago, we were having a conversation on the phone after the Yair performance. He lost to Islam earlier, but I mean, it was such a close fight. Some people scored it for him. And then the Korean Zombie and Holloway 3 before that, it felt like the dude was unbeatable, especially at featherweight. And we were wondering just how long his reign was going to go. And now 7 months later, it's just like he's coming off of 2 knockout losses. Now he doesn't have his belt anymore. And like we're questioning where he goes from here with his career. He's past 35. It's just like 7 months. This dude went from untouchable, throwing perfect games every time he goes out at 45, to now it's just like, what's next for him?
The one thing that I feel is different about him when you're considering this conversation is he's more active than others, right?
Sure.
He is somebody who is trying to get in there as much as he can to maximize that earning potential because he's on the back nine and because the way this sport works, you're not making the money until the end. You're just not making your maximum paydays until you've already established multiple title defenses and are looking at those bigger paydays. So he's trying to make that money in the window that he has, and that makes you make not ideal fight decisions. The reality is that Islam fight was not an ideal fight decision, but it was an ideal career financial decision. And so that's at odds with each other, and you see this at the end. This is how this looks, and it's there's not really like a clean way around it. It's just how this sport goes. But yeah, I can't say mistake. I just can't say mistake, but it's the most interesting part of the story.
It's amazing. The February pay-per-view last year, what a difference a year makes. We're talking about him winning the night, not the fight, but in my eyes and other people's eyes, still #1 pound for pound, even though he loses to Islam. All that stuff goes into the July fight, does his thing. It's like, all right, this guy's back. He's the freaking man. And then here we are exactly a year later, back-to-back knockouts, no belt at 55, no belt at 45, and might get lost in a bit of a shuffle there with Max, with Yair, and here comes Movsar climbing the ranks as well. In a few minutes, we're going to be joined by Ian Garry, but I do want to get...
Could I just say one more thing about Volk, real quick, before we move on? Starting with Chad Mendes, December 29, 2018. Chad Mendes, Jose Aldo, Max Holloway, Brian Ortega, Korean Zombie, Max Holloway, Islam Makhachev, Yair Rodriguez, Islam Makhachev, Ilia Topuria. That dude's he's one of one.
No, he's amazing.
That level of competition. Max Holloway 3 times, Islam twice. This new breed guy in Ilia Topuria. You don't see dudes like that. Like, he is just a special kind of fighter, and his legacy should not be. There should be no ding to his legacy because of what happened on Saturday night. The guy gave everything he had for a really good stretch of, let's call it, 5-6 years, and fought everybody, including some of the best, multiple times. Like, just deserves all the credit and respect for
100%. And
what he did.
The sad thing a little bit is, like, I don't remember him ever getting such a pop in America. He came out on Saturday and was beloved. And the thing that he did on Thursday with the old man costume, and he's got Zuck walking out with him, like, what did we...
It all comes too late.
In the early days of Volk, right? In the early days of Volk, we're like, how does this guy connect? Why don't people like it? Remember... Holloway 1, okay. Holloway 2, people hated him because they thought that he didn't deserve to win. I remember doing the interview with him off the side of the road, pandemic. Like, people hated him because of the fact that they felt like he wasn't the rightful king of 145. And now he's getting all this love, and then he loses. It's a crazy, crazy game. What about 300? Speaking of crazy games, your reaction, GC, when you saw this this announcement. And again, fine fight, great card, not the top choice. Don't tell us the top choice. Not even the top, maybe 3, 4, 5. What are your thoughts on this main event?
It appears I'm in the minority.
Love it.
I'm fine with it. No, don't love it. Don't love it. I mean, could have been splashier, but I'm all right with it. I mean, Alex Pereira is a massive star, and to have him fighting, to have Charles Oliveira fighting, Justin Gaethje, Max Holloway. I mean, you have star after star after star, former champ, current champs, littered on this card. I think it's a great card. I think the main event is fine. I'm kind of taking the Rick approach to it at this point. I would have been more disappointed if it was Leon Bilal than if it was Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill.
Fair. Part of you kind of wish, like, man, you're ruining the Rio main event. To like, you're robbing Peter to pay Paul here.
That is true, and also like it got revealed to me. I know you revealed it to Pizzi and them. It got revealed to me similarly on the watch party. And at first, when I heard Alex Pereira, I mean, my heart skipped a beat. I was like, "What is this about to be?" And then when it was Jamal Hill, I was like, "Oh, all right." Yeah, I didn't jump out of my seat. I wasn't going crazy or anything, but like, I'm not angry about it. I'm fine with it.
Rick?
I think most people are in that spot. I think most people recognize we're getting objectively a good fight, right? I think people are excited about the idea of Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill as a fight. It's a good fight. It's two guys who are really, are going to push the pace and the action, and you're going to get likely a finish. You're going to get a good fight out of it. But ultimately, it was expectation management. We were continually told that it's going to knock your socks off. It's going to be amazing. Just wait till we see what we have in store. And ultimately, is this a better fight than Max Holloway and Justin Gaethje? Is this something that you needed to put above it? No, ultimately not. Like this is not that fight.
We have some of those. I just want, for the record, just so people know that you're telling the truth. We have a couple of headlines here, right? Of for people saying like, "Oh, it's great, this and that." Yes, it is. But when you have this from January 26th, Dana White promising jaw-dropping main event announcement, quote, "You guys can't handle the main event. We're working on a couple of different options. Trust me, the UFC 300 main event is going to be crazy." This is a direct quote from an Instagram Live. So when you put that out there, yeah, people like me could be like, yeah, this is great. But there are other people who are like, holy shit, it's going to be crazy? We're not going to be able to handle it? Do we have more?
This was the main thing.
This was the main, but he has said it. He has said it multiple times in different variations. That leads people to think Khabib Conor, GSP back, Brock Lesnar, Ronda Rousey, and so I understand to a degree the deflated response, but
yeah. Well, I just think they couldn't get it done.
The only thing that really bothers me is not even that. It's just like I don't like when they have to. Take from here to put here. This feels like a Band-Aid. This feels like
coming together on the notice that it
even
did,
Jamal
right?
coming
Hill.
back so soon.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
It's also like this, like you said, this feels like it was down the laundry list of options, and they're taking from this card to put on this one, and it's just like both guys want it. Why is it not just Conor Chandler? That would have felt like just like the perfect bow on top of the UFC 300 card.
Imagine they would have announced it last March, and we'd have had a year build. Like Brock
so much time for that to fall apart.
But look, it would have worked out. They're both ready.
That also would have been cool. But also, from a promotional aspect of how this was announced, that was the most deflating thing to me.
Well, that's
like to not get a promo, to not get anything for you. We come off of a massive pay-per-view card just to be like, Dana posted on Instagram, and it's just like,
to me,
I don't want that.
Yeah. To me, that's
a fucking promo.
That's what tells. To me, that's what is the clearest indicator of how they really feel about the fight.
Yeah,
is how it's announced. If it really was going to blow your socks off, if it really was crazy, if it really was as advertised, that's not how they would have announced it. That's all you can say about that.
Could have done the Jamal Hill beating Glover in Brazil.
Oh, there's a great promo.
Pereira's in the corner, the stare down. There's that moment where they stared down.
Yeah, there's a great promo.
Like as they're like walking out. Even if Alex Pereira was just looking at him, but he just looks so intimidating. It looks like he was like, I'll be back for you. I'll go handle business at 185, come up to 205, and I'll be back for you. Like you could have made an incredible promo. Just something.
I'm just glad we don't have to hear what's the 300 main event.
No. There's still one fight. There's still one fight.
I don't care.
What's it going to be?
No, there's still one fight. What's it going to be?
Don't care.
Leon Bilal? Is he DDP?
But here's my thing about the
Does Bilal get someone else?
I'm going to say the last thing about the main event.
Bilal Luque 3.
Is this substantially better than Leon Bilal, or is that like equivalent? To me, they feel pretty equivalent. I don't see why Leon Bilal was such a
No, it wasn't. No. I think people would have been upset
in the side and something to avoid when this feels similar to me. No?
Yeah, I don't disagree.
To me, Pereira is just such a superstar. Yeah, I think he's just so massive that it's fitting.
Yeah, and I think stylistically, this one's going to be entertaining, right?
Yes.
That's almost a guarantee. So, look, I respect the effort by UFC and by Dana White to say we're really trying some crazy options and we're going to go for it. But that's expectation management coming back to bite, because this was not the one. This was not the crazy fight. Good fight though. Mm-hmm. Good fight. And now that we're done with this UFC 300 main event thing, we will move on, and the card is awesome, and everybody will get excited about it.
The card is sick. You cannot look at that lineup and not tell me that is. Like, if it was not UFC 300, people would be jaws on the floor how good of a card it is.
All right, we can talk more about that throughout the day. I'm not sure if the Parlay Boys had a good time on Saturday. Let us find out. I think not.
Yeah, unfortunately, we did not.
Okay.
Remain winless in 2024.
At least we're consistent.
So, I mean, we are. Yeah, it's getting late. I mean, February 20th, February 19th.
19th, yeah.
Still no wins. Unfortunately, Juliana Pena's dog pick of Roman Kopylov did not come through. Great performance by Anthony Hernandez.
So I did get a text.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear what this is going to be.
This is right after that fight. Right after that fight, Juliana.
As soon as the fight ended.
Within, I mean, that was the first fight of the night at 10 o'clock. This came at 10:35 Eastern.
This doesn't feel like this doesn't feel good.
Do you want to hear what it is?
This feels like the gloves are getting taken off.
No, but
we're about to
it's a threat. Quote.
A threat.
Quote.
She's costing the parlay and she's threatening us?
Listen.
Okay.
Quote. All right. If I don't get my pick right next week, I quit.
Oh, all right. Then we're good. Right. She's going to get the pick right.
And then I wrote back a threat with an exclamation. She wrote back a very serious one. I can't handle this. I'm about to break my TV like they do on the Super Bowl.
No need for that.
She also admitted, by the way, that she was biased. She sent me then a picture of her and Roman Kopylov. And
been picking a lot with the heart lately.
I said,
and the eyes.
I said, did the strategy change? She said, no, I was biased.
I mean, she was rock solid for so long.
And then I said she was on fire. She said, yes. And then I said, you can't pick with your heart. And she said, I know. So it feels like this is it. The fate and the future of the Parlay Boys hinges on UFC Mexico or KSW Epic or Bellator PFL.
Whatever she goes with.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Saturday's shaping up to be my Super Bowl. 5 flyweight fights, including the main event. Oh, wow. Juliana Pena and the Parlay Pals, Boys, whatever you want to call it. A lot riding on Saturday.
Yeah. All right.
I have no doubt. I have all the faith in the world.
I'm looking forward to it. So if she does leave, are you back, or do we have to find
honestly, that was the worst.
Somebody else who can't.
No, that was the worst part of the text. I was like, oh my God, does this mean I have to come back?
Well, I mean, we could try and find a free agent out there.
Yeah.
I might come back.
Wow.
I feel like Owen Elliott would give some
This is
good
breaking
picks.
news right
I miss it a little bit.
Okay.
Hey.
I miss it. I mean, honestly.
I saw you throwing out a little bit of,
my
winners,
my 3 for 3? My 3 for 3 parlay? I mean, look.
Could use the help,
Am I thriving? And that might be the thing. Maybe I need to come back to save the squad.
Yeah, why not?
Maybe that's what
take you gladly.
Yeah, I went 3 for 3. Thanks for noticing. I picked Oban, picked Merab, and what was the last one? Ian Garry.
Yeah, good choice.
That's a great point.
I know they're all favorites, but things can happen.
Well,
it's okay.
11 of the 12 fighters that won on Saturday were favorites.
That's right. The one was Ilia, right?
That's right.
What a factoid.
And he was pretty close to even, throughout. Yeah. So, big night for the favorites.
What about the rest of the night for you, GC?
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of favorites won, so that typically means that I do good. I like taking the chalk. I like taking the minus money picks, and that's what I did. Took a couple flyers. Val Woodburn, I was okay with that one just because it was Oban Elliott. But for a moment there in that first round, it looked a tad dicey, but obviously Oban bounced back beautifully and got the win. Ribeiro, man, I knew someone was going to fall, but for a second it looked like Ribeiro was going to get it done. That would have been a crazy cash, plus 600. Finished the night really strong. Do well on the singles. Hit the only parlay of the night, though that Volk Topuria over 1.5 was very close to not hitting. So overall, great week. Great bounce back. Needed that. 5.5 units on the week. Almost back in the green in 2024, but we are back above 100 units all time, which is a nice place to be. And I'm not the only one who cashed out. We do have some big hitters. I want.
Oh yes, let's go. Oh, I wonder what did someone do? I wonder if someone did a parlay of every single favorite on the card, and then it comes down to the main event.
So it's funny that you say that. I actually got a couple that were all the favorites parlayed, and then they missed because of Volkanovski unfortunately losing. But I did get a couple of these. We start with our guy Dennis Barrier 99. 12 up, 12 down. He called Ilia all favorites except for the Matador, and plus 16,467 turns 10 euros into over 1,600. Not a bad night for him. Another one, Juvie Doobie Doo. Juve, I guess, is the name. He doesn't go full card, but he goes Topuria KO, Whitaker decision, Machado Gary by KO or decision, Merab by decision. I mean, gets them all right. 10-leg parlay, turns $5 into 816. And then one more. This man, 12 for 12, native Nordic, paper slip. Gotta love to see a paper slip. Can't tell if that's a car or something. Could maybe use some cleaning there, but plus 11,574 gets them all right. Bang. Don't know how much money he made off of it. I think that might be $5 into 578. Either way, a great night for him. Some exactas, some people who just saw into the crystal ball and got it dead on. Uncle Glenn, Uncle G, he goes Ilia Topuria to win by KO in round 2. And then he also calls fight to be won between the 3-minute mark and the 3:59 mark in round 2. That was going at plus 2,500. So don't know how he called that. Don't know if he took multiple minutes, but I mean, he just nailed that one. Just nailed the main event. And then you have John 781660851. I feel like we could use a few less numbers in that one, Johnny, but he goes Ilia Topuria by KO, Ilia Topuria by KO in round 2, and Ilia Topuria money line. So just right across the board, nails it. I mean, just got it all right. One more of these. Dan Work 04. I think this guy actually made an account to be able to submit big hitters. A friend of one of our very own, Mikey, and I think it's literally his friend from work, Dan. But anyway, he called Ilia Topuria by KO in round 2, plus 1,400. Had $100 on that. Paid out 1,500. I can't imagine how crazy he went. And then just two more quick parlays. JYC4N, plus 12,847. Hernandez by submission. Merab by points. Gary by points. Whitaker by points. Ilia Topuria by KO. Not only does he go 5 for 5 on the main card, he gets the exact method of victory for all of them correct. So talk about a crystal ball. That's as good as it gets. And then last but not least, a 10-leg parlay for Courteous Curtis, plus 9,000. Just all over the board there. Turns $25 into 2,276. A lot to choose from this week. A lot of people on Ilia. A lot of people knew he was going to get it done, but that is the big hitters. So congratulations to all the winners.
Yes, congratulations to them. Congrats to Wanderlei Silva as well, who we found out will be inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. Very well deserved. There was a reporter at the post-fight press conference who said to Dana White around 10 years ago, maybe less, he said that Wanderlei would be Pete Rose from the Hall of Fame, and he was very critical of the UFC upon leaving. And Dana, I guess to his credit, said he didn't remember that and was, I guess, happy he didn't remember it because maybe it gave some of us hope that grudges could be buried, that people are growing up and evolving. So that was nice to see. I don't even remember the Pete Rose comment. Rick, do you remember this?
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
Does anyone have a video of it or anything?
I don't know, but credit to this reporter who asked him that question. I was like, wow, good for you, man. Well done. Great question. With how much things change and how much happens in this sport, I was very, very impressed. 2 new champions, 2 UFC pay-per-views. Obviously, Raquel Pennington, there was going to be a new champion, but a title changes hands back to back. What is the line, by the way? Is there such a thing on how many title changes in 2024? Is that a thing? Is that a prop?
No, but that would be a great one to
I feel like, I mean, and you got next month, and then, you got 2 titles. Like, this could be like an over 9, an over 10. This could be a crazy year. There's a lot of parity. There's a lot of, and this is why we love the UFC. This is why we love MMA. The best fight the best. There's no dilly-dallying. There's no people taking tune-up fights or BS fights or anything like that. You got to face. That's why Sean, if he wins, he has to face Merab, in my opinion. Speaking of a different Sean Strickland, Robert Whittaker, I didn't ask you guys about this. Does this fight happen next?
Makes sense.
I feel like it makes total sense.
I'd love it. I think it would be a fantastic fight.
There's not a lot of guys Robert Whittaker hasn't fought, right? So that you're kind of limited on options there. Strickland, I think there's more options, right? Like, I don't think it necessarily has to be his fight. For Whittaker, yeah. It happens, right? Why not?
I love that fight. I love Ian Garry versus Colby. I still don't. He did a great job of selling it, but I don't see Colby saying yes to it, right?
It feels like the Whittaker Strickland fight is more realistic than Gary Covington.
If not Gary, who for Colby?
Like a Wonder Boy type.
He said he would want to fight Wonder Boy, but as soon as he said that, I was like, that's exactly who he would want to fight.
Who said that? Who said that?
Ian Garry.
No. Ian said he would want to fight Wonder Boy. He said he didn't want to fight Gilbert Burns.
I thought he said...
No, he said, I still want that Wonder Boy fight. Gilbert, I'd say yes to, but I love him. We'd ultimately fight each other. But remember, Colby, after the Leon fight, said he'd want to fight Wonder Boy. I just don't think that Colby takes that fight. Sean Brady, I like a lot. I get what he is. Actually, he cut a great promo on Sean Brady. Like, that kind of made me want to see the fight. I don't think that was his intention.
He kind of just brushed him off.
Yeah, it was one of those.
I don't rate him at all.
Yeah. Ian, on International Fight Week, I just don't see Dublin in the cards at the moment. Maybe I'll be wrong. Ian, International Fight Week against Colby would be a nice addition to this card. If Conor, if Conor doesn't need the money or he wants to fight, just out of the kindness of his heart. This whole money thing is so weird to me that they keep bringing this up as a reason as to why he doesn't want to fight. Like, what does the guy have to do? What does he have to do to convince them that he wants to fight? I don't get it.
Get into a full camp, quote unquote.
And someone asked Dana, was he ever considered for 300? Nope. What? How was he not even considered? He wasn't even considered? Like, there wasn't even a conversation?
To be fair, they had a list of 15 different fights, so maybe they were working their way down to Conor.
And they settled on the one that was supposed to main event, the May 4th pay-per-view.
Conor versus Chandler ahead of Leon Bilal on the list,
Probably
on the UFC's list, you think?
No. Poor Brazilian fans, by the way. Do Bronx and Pereira fighting.
Oh, but have no fear. Alex is forecasting.
Oh, he's going to come back
for the card.
I like that forecast.
No problem.
So what are they going to do? Pantoja headline?
Against who?
Yeah, that's
Albazi?
the tough part. That's the tough part.
That can't headline a pay-per-view, with all due respect.
It can.
It can. Yes, anything can happen. Nice co-main. Perfect co-main for
great co-main
for Brazil. Pereira.
But if there's no other options,
Pereira versus Jamal would have been so great. Jamal comes back to Rio, where he beat Glow. I mean, there's so many stories there. Anyway, not to put the cart before the horse, but looking like we're going to have a very big guest in studio on Wednesday. One of the names we just mentioned, but I don't want to jinx this one, so stay tuned for that.
I like that. No jinxing going on. I'm knocking on wood back here.
Yeah. No, it would be nice. And by the way, speaking of in studio, I've been doing this show for almost 15 years. June will be 15 years. Some variation of it, of course, there were the 3 years at ESPN, but it was the same freaking show. Rumor has it, first time ever, my family in attendance. Is this true?
We can confirm.
Yeah,
wow.
Confirm those rumors.
Have they been?
Why doesn't somebody come in here?
Let's get the control room shot. Are they in the control room shot?
Yeah, we're gonna.
Are they hiding?
Slide over. No. They're just sitting.
Let's bring them in. Can we bring them in? Can we bring the kids in? First time ever? Are they shy?
Yeah, there's a touch of reluctance.
Come on, we're coming. We're coming.
Let's go. First time ever. Lots of confusion. They just want to steal our drinks back here. Oh, I see some activity.
You've caught people a little bit off guard on the bring them in part.
No, come in the studio. Oh, come in studio. Come in here.
Okay. Ariel says to go into the studio.
Into the studio, yeah. First time ever. This doesn't happen. I've been doing the show 15 years. No one's come to the show.
All right, Joe's getting
making
them in.
a walk.
Let's see it. This is big. Where are they?
But to see everything.
No, this is look. Here comes the good shot. Yeah, the crew is here. Walter, come in. Oliver, Claire, Jack. Look at this guy. Oh, look at this cool crew with the cool hats. Got the Raptors hat. Got the Grizzly. Guys, act like you're excited. Hello, Claire. How are you? You don't want to come in? She doesn't want to come in. Look at this.
Day off from school and everything.
Day off from school. Let's see this shot right here. Look at these guys. Look at you guys. Claire, come in. Come in. What do you guys have to say? Walter, say hello to the world.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. This is Walter. Walter just celebrated his birthday. Yes?
Yeah.
Did you have a good birthday?
Yeah.
Do you think this is cool?
Yeah.
Now you finally see what I do for a living. Pretty amazing, right?
Yeah.
You like my Forest jersey over there?
Right.
Got some stuff. It's fire. Oliver, how are you? Say hello to the world. This is you're a big YouTube watcher. I mean,
Yeah.
this is you and Kai Cenat
Yeah.
on the same level. Say hi to everyone. What do you have to say?
Hi.
Okay, nice. What's up?
Yeah.
Do you want to tell anyone anything about your Fortnite, about your...
Not really.
Okay, and what about Claire over here? My lovey-dove Claire. How are you, Claire? Claire is no stranger to the cameras. You like to do your picks right on the show. There she... Oh, let's get rid of this right over here. Claire, say hello to the world right over there.
Hello.
What do you think? This weekend, Yair Rodriguez or Brian Ortega?
I don't know.
What do you mean? You have to have a pick. Yair or Brian?
Yeah.
Oh, El Pantera. You like him? Is this cool?
Random people.
Yeah. Is this fun? Yeah? All right. Well, I love you guys. Please don't steal all of our drinks back there, all right? This is great. Oh, leaving me hanging. Okay, I'll see you in a moment. Peace out. Is this cool? Is this fun? Yeah. Is your dad cool? Yeah. All right, fine. Doesn't sound so convincing. Hello, Jacqueline. How are you? Well, that was nice. You're sure you don't want to come on? Doesn't seem like she wants to come on. All right, fine. The fact that you made it here is big enough.
After hello, Jacqueline, how are you? I'm shocked.
I love that. As if she's the kid's manager.
What am I supposed to say?
I mean, you said it with the same tone to like, on Plinio or something.
Yeah.
When they come in, when they come in with the social media,
yeah.
Let her come on your shot over there. I mean, I didn't want to make her too nervous, you know. Is she there or no back there?
We're getting everybody settled.
She's in the green room.
They can't hear you.
You're asking for things that are
that are impossible to
no, not impossible. Not
pull
impossible.
off.
We can make it.
Well, this is lovely, guys. That was a heartwarming moment, right?
It was. Yeah. It was.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
First time in history.
First time in history. Never happened before. Went to the Seaport once back in the ESPN days, but never before on a live program like this. Oh, there she is.
Oh.
Hello.
Shot better.
Jacqueline and I have been together since when? 7th grade. You got to get into the camera shot there. I mean, let's not.
Yeah, I can't do this alone.
Come on. And now you actually know what I do for. Look at this shot. This is great. Now you know what I do for a living here.
I mean, we did this in a one-bedroom apartment. I saw everything that you did for the last 20 years.
That's amazing. Look at that. And you've how long have you been back there for?
Back here?
Yes. When did you guys arrive?
Control room?
Yeah.
3 p.m., right?
Sure. You're usually
right on the dot. You said she was going to text me between 3 and 3:15. She texted me at like 2:54.
Sure. Yeah, I believe that.
And now about to come up.
True or false? You've watched more of my show in the last hour back there in the control room than the last 10 years. What do you say? What do you say?
False.
Okay. Oban Elliott was a good guest, though, right? Wasn't he great?
He was great.
Who's your favorite fighter of all time?
I've just got to say.
Yeah.
As soon as he came on, Jacqueline goes, "That's the guy who's friends with Chael.
Oh,
who loves Chael."
Yeah. Oh yeah,
she said
she
Welsh
nailed
gangster.
it right away.
She said Welsh
gangster.
Yeah, I showed you the clip. Yeah, she saw it. Who's your all-time favorite? Who would you say is your all-time favorite?
I have to say GSP.
Yeah, that's a good one. You went to GSP versus Condit, I think, right? Back in the day with my mom.
I did with your mom.
Was it Condit or Diaz? No, I think it was Condit.
Yes.
UFC 154. Who could forget?
Right.
All right. Well, this is great. Thank you for coming. Love you guys very much. Appreciate you on this President's Day. I mean, she has work today. She took off work to come to the studio here. It's no hop, skip, and a jump, right? So we appreciate it.
It is President's Day.
Yeah, it is President's Day. But it's, Canadian company. Check out Anzie, anzie.com, A-N-Z-I-E, if you're looking for that special post-Valentine's gift, for that special someone in your life, right? Any sales going on?
Mother's Day coming
Mother's
up.
Day, of course, in May.
Valentine's is done.
Valentine's is done. But, if you're late, if you didn't get that special someone, actually one time...
Ever popular post
GC, I told him to go to Sasabune with his girlfriend, and they loved it. Never went back, though, which I don't know if is a bad sign.
You kind of gotta ball out when you're going, man. It's a special occasion.
Right. Okay. Any thoughts on $299, Jacqueline, or
oh God,
300? Okay. All right. We won't do it. Well, that was a lot of fun. Appreciate that. What a fun day it has been on the program. And yes, like I said, we could have a big guest in studio on Wednesday, so stay tuned for that. Delighted to have the family here, the kids here. Usually they're in school, they're doing all kinds of things, but very much wanted them to be here today. And I hope Frank put on his mask back there because they've been known.
Well, had I known that they were going to be here earlier than 3, I could have done that. But we introduced ourselves to Jacqueline and the kids, and the first thing Jacqueline says is, the kids want to know who Mysterious Frank is. I don't think they figured it out yet because we've been all going under the name Frank.
Yeah. All right, perfect. Let's keep that between us. All right?
Perfect.
Yes, I want to fix my flag here. People upset about that. We're all good.
You can't just drop the American
No, I'm sorry. I'm
on
sorry.
President's Day.
I mean,
Let's move this out of the way.
It was blocking Claire's
That's gonna
face.
get snipped and all over Instagram.
I should have moved it here. I apologize to everyone. That's not what I meant to do. It was just right there. And, I wanted Claire to have her moment. But this is nice. What a day. What a day. All great guests, all in great form, great spirits. And then we top it off with the family. Nothing better than that. So my heart is warm and grateful and thankful. And now I'll give them a tour. Maybe they'll steal some of our stuff here, right? They deserve that. A couple toys here. I don't really have much to say. I'm pretty much done here, Frankie. So I think we can go, right? I read all my things. We're good, yeah?
Yeah. You've checked all the boxes.
We certainly have, Frank. We certainly have. And I feel good about those things. It's going to be great to have Alex Pereira in studio on Wednesday. Can't wait for that, Poatan. That's going to be amazing. And I'm looking forward.
We weren't gonna.
No, just kind of.
I'm gonna say. I feel like we just jinxed that there.
100%.
I was like, did you already let it slip?
I'm knocking even harder on this wood.
Yeah. It's gonna be great. Listen, you get booked for 300, and this is
where you come.
Yeah.
This is the next stop you make.
Right. It's like when you win the Super Bowl, you go to Disney World, you get booked for 300, you come on the show first.
I actually think I did see a clip of Alex Pereira. They said, you've just been booked in the main event at 300. What are you doing next? He said, I'm heading to the MMA hour.
Yeah, straight from Dubai. He was with Sensei Segal over the weekend.
Yes.
Which is quite the, penthouse to outhouse formation. I do want to also thank Oban Elliott, gave us a nice shout out at the post-fight press conference, or his post-fight press conference on Saturday. So I thought that was really cool as well. So much love to him. What a great guy. How could you not root for him? And all the guests today I thought were fantastic. So thank you very much to Ian Garry. Great stuff from him, I thought. Love the passion, love the energy. Great stuff from Merab Dvalishvili. Almost like he's a little bit emotional right now as he's realizing everything that he dreamed of is coming to fruition. It's beautiful to see. Shout out to the champ, Sugar Sean O'Malley. Amazing stuff from him. And of course, the Welsh gangster, Oban Elliott as well. Congrats to them all. Good luck to Sean. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to all of them. Thanks to my family. Back on Wednesday, same time and place. Till the same peace. I'm out of here.